This hour is brought to you by Sweetland Waste and Removal Service, a homegrown company serving Southern Indiana since 1995.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along.
Well, come on along and welcome aboard to Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Friday, October 18th. It's Jim Coyle with you, as always. Coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Jake's at the wheel, keeping things on the track. Hope your week's been great and you're ready for the weekend because it's too late. It's here. Got to get to it. A big Friday, as always, because it's a Toddfather Friday. Todd Leary is going to join us, as he always does. We'll talk to Tom Brew from Sports Illustrated Indiana. Lots to get to this morning. Lots going on. Preparing for the World Series. Houston is one game shy of that after beating the Yankees last night. Makeup game from the night before that was rained out. They will play again. I think they play tonight. But the Nationals are waiting. We're waiting. They're waiting for the winner there, so we'll see how that turns out. Indiana football got a commitment last night from a three-star tight end Sam Dostrup and from Ohio. The tight end, a lot more prevalent in this Kalen DeBoer offense. Guys are going to want to play that spot, man. You catch some balls, especially when you got a quarterback like Michael Penix that it can get it to you in a hurry. I would expect the commitments for Indiana to continue to pile up after this season that they're going to have, because there's no doubt I think they're going to have a special season. It's yet to be determined, of course, how that's going to end up. But this weekend they head out to College Park, Maryland. Last I checked, they were a 5.5-point favorite. I should have checked that again. But the Hoosiers, as a favorite on the road in the Big Ten, happens about once every other year when they travel to Rutgers. That's about it. Indiana's not a favorite on the road in the Big Ten. They are today. And they will be tomorrow. I think they handle Maryland. As a matter of fact, I made a friendly wager with a friend last night. A couple of beers. I gave up 13 points. Because that's how I feel about how that game is going to go. I don't think Maryland's going to be able to hang with Indiana. Of course, you should never talk smack, and I'm not. I'm just telling you how I think the game's going to turn out. I don't like to talk the coach speak stuff. I like to talk the reality of the situation, and the reality of the situation is they've got quarterback problems. They got a guy that's probably going to start that's a good runner, but that's about the gist of their offense. Defensively, they cannot stop Michael Penix and company. I don't think they can get to Michael Penix, much less stop him. We'll see. I gave up 13 points. It's only a 5-point spread, but I gave up 13. But double check that. Where is it? Nope, that's not it. There we go. Let me get this. There we go. 6. Up to 6. Indiana's a 6-point favorite on the road over a team that averaged 71 points per game after their first 2 games this season. How about them apples? Last night in the NFL, Patrick Mahomes, I don't know if you saw that or not, on a 4th down quarterback sneak, tweaked his knee. I think he dislocated his knee. He's going to be out for 3 weeks at least. In a 30-6 win over Denver, the Chiefs had lost 2 in a row. They lost to the Colts, and I forget who they lost to. Maybe Oakland? Back-to-back games, but they get back on the winning side. Indiana women's soccer fought to a 0-0 tie at Maryland. That's their 8th shutout of the season. It's kind of funny talking about getting a shutout when you yourself got shut out. The Lady Hoosiers are 7-6-2 on the season overall, 3-3-2 in Big Ten play. That was their 5th Big Ten shutout of the season, which ties a school record. Congratulations to them. The men's soccer team, also in Maryland, tonight at 6:30. It's a Maryland weekend. The volleyball team played Maryland yesterday, or day before yesterday. It's Maryland week. Maybe they should do that with all sports. That's kind of a cool thing, really. But the Indiana football team will travel to College Park, Maryland today. Tomorrow they will play at 3:30. That game's on the BTN, but yeah, just you got to use the channel finder thing. Indiana leads that series 5-2. They're 2-1 in College Park, so that bodes well. That one loss, that was 2 years ago. That shouldn't have happened. Tom Allen, we spoke with him yesterday. Let's get a quick glimpse of what he had to say. We talked with him about the upcoming game and what's going on, and let's see what Coach had to say.
Hunter Littlejohn continues to work really hard in his rehab, so he's a game-time decision. But we'll see. But bottom line is he's doing everything he can to get back. Very proud of his effort. Questions?
So if Hunter's out, is it just plugging in O'Connor? Is it as simple as that?
Well, I tell you, we feel like that in terms of the big picture of it, we've got a couple options. O'Connor can play, Charlie can play there, did that on Saturday. Also have the option of Harry Kreider moving to center, and we've done that in the past, and he's played there in the past, and that's another option for us as well. So those are a couple of things that we've done both in practice all week long. So, but we got some guards that can interchange in there, and McKenzie will play as well if that happens to be the case, and if Hunter can't go, and we move Harry to center, if we plug Charlie in, obviously everything stays the same, and just replace Hunter with Charlie. So definitely got some options.
Coach, with last week's lull there in the second quarter, and as the season goes forward, it gets more difficult as it moves along. How important is it that you see a complete effort from the offense this week for 60 minutes?
Very important, and I think that goes to just growth and maturity as a team, and you just teach off of it, which we did, and then able to challenge the defense, even though they didn't succumb to the lull. Those things have happened, and it can happen. It happens at all levels, so you have to coach hard to avoid it, but at the same time, getting yourself in those positions and being up 21-0 with 8 minutes to go in the first quarter, is the position that you want to be in. You just got to learn how to handle it with maturity and finish and have a great focus throughout the entire game for 60 minutes.
Are you a coach that sticks to a strict routine during road trips, or do you ever change it up?
I am definitely a routine guy. I think it creates a lot of confidence in your guys, but you have to also unknown things sometimes happen. I mean, you even have unique things happen on trips, and so you have to occasionally we'll throw them a curveball just to keep them off the routine. But overall, no, I like the flow. I think guys need to know how much time they have to do certain things and to be able to get their minds right. And as you progress to kickoff, we have we call it priming in our whole preparation, which is the whole week of preparation that we go through physically, mentally, to get our guys to be at peak performance by kickoff. So everything's centered around that mindset in terms of meeting length and what we do when we do it. And but yeah, overall, it's very, very consistent routine. Basically we just say, hey, we want to arrive to the hotel by a certain time, and based on the length of travel time, we may leave a little earlier or whatever based on that, but try to occasionally keep them off balance so they can adjust.
Coach Tom Allen, Indiana's football coach, talking about all things leading towards this weekend's game. We'll hear more from Coach Allen later in the program. On the show today, the Toddfather, Todd Leary. He's going to join us in the next segment. Tom Brew from Sports Illustrated Indiana will be on as well. We've got lots more to get to. In basketball, Hassan Diarra's decision expected to come tomorrow. All signs are pointing towards Texas A&M for that for the services of that five-star point guard. Oh, it's today? Not bad. Devin Askew made his decision. He's decided he's going to Kentucky. He picked the Wildcats over U of L, Arizona, and Memphis. reason I talk about that is there had been a lot of talk of him potentially going to Louisville, and if he did, that would probably take them out of the running for the services of Christian Lander from Evansville Reitz, who is Indiana's top target. That didn't happen. So Louisville is still in play. And I think those are the two teams this is really going to come down to, if you want to be honest. I think that because of proximity. I just don't think he's going to go 8-9 hours away so his parents can watch him play the short time he'll be in college. Because he's going to be a short timer. Make no mistake about that. So now with Louisville still in play, of course, that we don't know how long that's going to go because there's talk that Christian Lander could reclassify. We probably won't know about that until the spring, I'll be honest with you, unless they come out and make an announcement. We'll see. John Calipari was on the dais yesterday. He was asked about basically the Kentucky-Indiana series, but he talked a little bit about Archie and the relationship and that. So let's hear what John Calipari had to say.
Archie and I are friends and family, and his grandmother raised my mother practically and spent so much time in his grandmother's house. His father coached all of us. I'm rooting for Archie to do well. This broke down because we gave them an opportunity to play us 2 years in Indianapolis. We'll play you 2 years in Indianapolis. Not even talking about, I knew our governor would be mad. Why would you play there and not play here in our state? But I agreed to do that with them, and they said no, which gave me the ability to walk away and say, well, there's nothing that'll make you guys happy if you're not willing to do that. Our schedule is out ahead of us, and so it's not something we're discussing right now. But, it's no disrespect. They've got Bruiser Flint, who's like my brother, on the staff, and I do wish him well.
Nothing that'll make you guys happy. How about you play where they're supposed to be played at Assembly Hall and Rupp Arena? Like the rest of your games are played. What do you mean there's nothing that'll make you all happy? What a jackass. Why don't you answer the question, why will you not play a home and home? I don't want to hear that crap about safety. That's the biggest joke. He got his ass beat and he doesn't want to come back. It's that simple. I mean, there's no other way around it. It is that simple. Indiana will gladly go to Rupp Arena. Assembly Hall is a tough place to play. It's very difficult for a road team. He wants nothing to do with it. He wants nothing to do with it. He doesn't have the stones to deal with it because he's got his ass beat. Ask Matt Jones about that, Evansville. He's on before me. Ask him why he really won't play. Because I think it's BS. It's BS. I offered to play him in Indianapolis and nothing will make them happy. How about you just play the games where college games are supposed to be played? Jackass. That just revs me up when I hear it. It's like, man, I hate people who don't answer questions. Answer the question. Don't give us BS stuff, which is what they like to do. Mike Roberts sat down with the voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fisher, Indiana's newest assistant coach, talking about all kinds of things. Let's hear what Indiana's newest coach had to say.
Mike, talk a little bit about what you bring to the table as an assistant coach to Indiana, because I know you've learned a lot under these other guys, but you still maintain a passion for this university, or you wouldn't be back here.
Yeah, I think you kind of touched on it, Fish. I'm not that old, but I've been a lot of different places for as young as I am, and I think right now I'm just trying to fit into this staff. It's obviously a very accomplished staff, very accomplished head coach and Archie Miller, but kind of just feel out where it is I fit in terms of what he wants me to bring to the table. You know, a lot of every place I've been, for the most part, I've been responsible for the bigs, working out with them skill-wise and different things. And then, you know, when I was at Ben Braun, I was the assistant coach that had a lot of input to him regarding offense. And then with Wes Miller, it was actually kind of the opposite, more on the defensive side of the ball. So, I mean, I think whenever you look at a staff, you kind of got to figure out what everyone's strengths are and then try to use those to their best. And I feel like I've had a wide range of experiences, and I'm pretty comfortable in whatever, you know, Archie, Coach Miller defines me as doing to help out the program.
What do you see in this basketball team right now that you like?
What I like is our depth and versatility, physicality. I think we're a really big physical team across the board. You know, you look at, obviously everyone knows about some of our interior big guys. We have 3 guys that are big physical guys, you know, and Trace, Joey, and Duran. Those guys, everyone knows about that. But you look at our wings and the size and physicality of them, you know, and Jerome and Demizi. I think that's, you know, 5 guys right there that are super physical and can really impose their will. You know, I also think we have some guys that can make shots on the perimeter. You know, and I think although we only have 11 scholarship players, I think all 11 of those guys are guys that can legitimately play in a Division I game. So although in numbers maybe it doesn't look like depth, but I think this team has a chance to have a lot of depth and a lot of versatility.
What do you try to impart to these young guys from an Indiana player's perspective that you've gone through, and to maintain that and to develop a passion for the school?
Well, that's one thing that really hit me coming back here, Don, is I worked at a lot of great places and for a lot of good coaches, but as soon as you're back here, like for your first practice or even your first time being around town, you forget how much the people here care about that. And with that comes a lot of responsibility and sometimes I think pressure. I mean, I can remember it as a player. So I think one of the things that I could help the kids with is whether we're having a lot of success or we're going through some hard times, we're not as good as everyone on the outside this building thinks we are, and we're not as bad as everyone outside this building maybe thinks we are, depending on how it's going, and just trying to help us stay focused internally on what the next task at hand is. And if you do that, the success will come. And obviously, as you know, when you're winning, there's no better place than here to have some success. So.
No doubt about that. Mike, thank you very much, and welcome back.
There's the voice, Don Fisher, sitting down with Mike Roberts, Indiana's newest assistant coach. Man, we got a lot coming up. We've already had a lot. That was an action-packed first segment. We got a ton more coming. The Toddfather, Todd Leary, should be up next. We got Tom Brew from Sports Illustrated Indiana on the program today as well. Lots more to get to. Man, we got so much to do today. It's Friday. Hope you're having a good one. We got lots more coming back from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Back with more right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Ryan Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
You're on the line with Jamal Meeks, former Indiana Hoosier, number 23, 1992. And I'm on the beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
Say it again, y'all. Whoa. Look out. What is it good for? Absolutely.
Welcome back to the Golf Club Eagle Point Studios, Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle. Welcome in the Toddfather, Todd Leary. How are you, sir?
I'm great this morning. How you doing?
Lovely, lovely. It's definitely fall weather, man. You step out there and, whoo, it gets you a quick reminder of it.
It is definitely chilled out this morning, that's for sure.
Lots going on, man. There's so much to talk about. Boy, we heard from John Calipari earlier. He was talking about his relationship with Archie that goes way, way back. His Archie's grandmother apparently raised Calipari's mom, this, that. And it was just all it was a big circle back around of why we're not going to play Indiana. That's all it was. Seriously, he was asked a question, and his answer was, "Well, I made them the offer to play twice in Indianapolis. Our governor would be upset because we weren't playing, blah, 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 blah. But they didn't want to do it, so I figured nothing could make them happy." And I'm like, how about you play the games where they're supposed to be played in Assembly Hall? It cracks me up. He's BS. And I really don't get it, other than getting his ass beat and not coming back, of why he simply won't play. It's a great series for college basketball. It's an absolute travesty that series is not in play right now. Now, it's probably fortunate for Indiana over the last couple of years that it's not in play, I'll be honest with you. But with that said, that's a series that should be going on, and I know you have to agree as one that took part in that series.
Yeah, I mean, this is just one of the things I don't understand, and I don't want to call somebody out because I don't know him personally at all. But from a competitive standpoint,
I don't mind.
From a competitive standpoint, I don't see how there could be any justification for ever not wanting to play that game. And, the fact that, Coach Knight, and I seem to always relay back to him, but he kind of instilled this mentality in us was, you know what, we'll play anybody anywhere. And that's the challenge you want to be able to say. Like right now, it looks like, I think a lot of people, even on the Kentucky side, will look at it and say, well, there's really no benefit to Kentucky playing Indiana, in that game. And that's just they're listening to what the coaches have said in some weird interview somewhere, but there's no justification for it. I mean, you as a coach, you want to be able to sit there and say, look, we want to put our product out on the floor and it should be able to transition and play anywhere in any arena, under any circumstances, and no matter how crazy the crowds are and all those things. And so I just never understood how anyone would want to get away from a game that has that much passion. And believe me, I hate for Indiana to lose that game too. But at the end of the day, I'd rather play it every year and lose it every year than not play it at all. And I don't understand any justification in not trying to make sure they could do whatever they could. And they could make it happen if they wanted to make it happen. Like, they can come up with all the excuses they want. Don't believe anything. If they wanted that game to happen, it would happen.
Absolutely. That's why it makes no sense. It's not only for the fans of Indiana and Kentucky. That's a college basketball game. That's one that is for college basketball. Those are two of the titans. And it's just absolutely ridiculous, especially when we're in the same regional proximity of having these fans right up next to each other. These are border states. And to ignore that is just an absolute joke. But it's just more, I don't get it. I really don't, and it makes no sense. So I guess there's no sense in wasting any more time on it. But
well, I mean,
it is
that's what we do is waste people's time. But it's just there's no great explanation for it. And I'll be honest, like I don't know. You take Indiana, Kentucky out of it. You can look at any of those rivalry games. It's hard to say Duke, North Carolina, and all that because they're in the same conference and they have to play each other. But I just don't understand how. I don't understand how it could ever be justified that you put two crazy, supposed blue blood schools together that have had a rivalry for gazillions of years, and you could find a reason why it wouldn't make sense for them to play each other in a year. That just doesn't make sense to me.
Yep, and as the one and done rules goes away here in the next year or two, I don't know that series will get reignited because Kentucky would probably stand a better chance of losing when Calipari actually has to coach when he doesn't have a stable full of one and dones. But that's
well, yeah. I mean that thing probably won't get back on the board until the regime changes at Kentucky. Until Calipari's gone or they get a new AD in there that doesn't listen to the coach. I can't see that rivalry. I can't see that being back on the table. He's obviously avoiding it. I mean, he just is. He's instilling his will and the fact that he knows he can control that. It's just a control freak move is all that is.
That's it, man. Last night, Patrick Mahomes went down. Did you watching the football game?
I did not.
Yeah, he's out for 3 weeks with a knee injury.
He's out for how long?
3 weeks.
Oh, man.
Dislocated his knee. But Indiana this weekend, they travel to Maryland. Indiana football, man, I truly think, Todd, that they can have a special season. Right now, they stand at 4-2 on the year. They're a 6-point favorite at Maryland. First of all, Indiana is never, other than every other year when they travel to Rutgers, they're never a favorite on the road in the Big Ten. And they are here. And then when they get that win, they have to go to Nebraska next week. And I cannot wait for that line to come out because I am very, very interested. For one thing, I can't imagine Indiana ever having been a road favorite 2 weeks in a row in the Big Ten. I don't know that that's going to happen even with a win over Maryland because at Nebraska is a tough ask. I think that Indiana will probably be a 3-point underdog in that game. But I definitely think Indiana will be going to Nebraska 5-2 and looking for a bowl-eligible management 6th win there. But don't want to put the cart before the horse. Maryland is the task at hand this week. It's a team that they started out averaging 71 points a game for the first 2 games of the season, and now they're getting their butt kicked in the Big Ten. But they've gone through some quarterback issues, and it's a game Indiana should win easily, man.
Well, yeah, I mean, you say that, but I don't know about the win easily part. Like, last week we discussed them being such a gigantic favorite and a 27-point favorite in a Big Ten game. And, I think we all thought they'd win that game, and we all thought they'd win pretty easily. And we kind of wanted to put the test out there and see how they did. And, you've got to give them credit because they passed that test with flying colors and got off to a great start and had an early lead and, held them to no points. And that's a great victory. And so they passed that test and you have to celebrate that. But, as the season marches on, you only get to celebrate for a couple hours and then it's time to start preparing for the next game. And that's what this game is. And it's another test. I mean, it truly is. It's a better team than what was last week. It's on the road. It's a game that, probably if they're going to be what they what the fan base wants them to be and what the coaching staff thinks they can be, then this is a game they need to go in. And if they do that, I think you win this ball game and you've got 5 wins already. You have a serious chance to, like you said, have a special season, not just become bowl eligible. And I think Indiana fans have been, burned over the years so many times of thinking this was going to be, a special season, or this could be the year they turn it around, and, all the cliche statements. But I mean, right now you've got to ride the high when you've got it. And they definitely have some momentum. They've done some things that they've said they were going to do that in the past they've said, but weren't able to accomplish. And right now they're accomplishing them. And this is just another one. This would be a big time. You can't overlook this team. This is a team that can score a lot of points, and those teams are always difficult because the whole, the structure of a game and the game planning and all that can change if you go in and go down 14 or 21 points real quick. You can have to change your game plan, and it's not what you prepared for. And so, they've got to go in, they've got to instill their will early on. They don't have to jump out to a 21-point lead, but they've got to control the field position, control the ball, have the ball in their hands, move it when they want to, get first downs, march down the field, score points, and then get that clock running. And if they can do that, I think they'll not only prove a lot of stuff to the fan base, but they'll start to become more believers themselves. And I know they believe in themselves, but a little confidence and winning on the road is a huge thing for teams and coaches, and this would be a big one for them.
Good cop, bad cop, folks. You can figure out who's who. I'm the most pessimistic optimist. I think I'm the most pessimistic optimist I've ever known. But I am the eternal. When it comes to Indiana football, I am optimistic, especially on this season. Man, and next week when we're talking Nebraska, I'm probably gonna blow your mind. I'll tell you right now, I'm gonna pick Indiana to win that game. But we'll
Nebraska is a team that. They were playing great. Who was their big game they played earlier this year? Like Oklahoma or
no, not yet.
They played somebody early in the year, and it was a big game, and it was like the game of the week, and they got destroyed.
Ohio State, maybe.
Yeah, is that who it was?
I don't know.
It was Ohio State. Yeah, that's right. It was Ohio State, and that was a game that their season is kind of. I don't want to say tanked, but definitely gone downhill since that point. They were talking about their quarterback, Nebraska's quarterback, possibly, if he had a great game there and continued on through the season well, probably not winning the Heisman, but being up there in the talks and voting with it. And, they laid an egg in that game. And so I think they've kind of gone downhill since that point. And, it'd have been nice for Indiana to be able to play them the week after that. But, it's a situation that's not looking ahead. I'm definitely not looking ahead. I learned my lesson on that one, but they've got to win this weekend. But then that Nebraska game it'll be another test, another opportunity for them to prove, that they are what everyone wants them to be from a fan base perspective.
Absolutely. It's going to be an exciting time. It's sure a fun time for Indiana football. They got a commitment yesterday from a 3-star tight end. Things are going well. Tom Allen's doing a hell of a job. He's recruiting well. He's putting the product on the field now. As long as things continue and they can stay healthy, I think it's going to be an absolutely fun season for Hoosier football fans, which I know there's not a lot of them out there, but hopefully they can start cultivating more and more to get them back out of the grave. But speaking of the grave, text into the show, what's the weirdest thing that's ever happened to you around a graveyard?
Do you mean as an employee, or do you mean when I was a kid?
Well, let's go with both, Alex.
I'm just teasing.
I'll take both for 500. Alex.
There's just based on privacy issues, I probably shouldn't discuss some of the goofiness that goes on, but there's a lot of weird stuff that happens at cemeteries.
You don't have to mention any names.
No, I'm good. We'll talk off the
air. What else is going on this weekend for Todd Leary?
Nothing. Just work. Another work weekend.
Do you now? We've talked about this before. Do you watch baseball much?
No, not at all.
Not at all. Do you watch anything besides college basketball? Like football. Football. Hey, you're a football fan, right?
Yeah, I like college football. Golf. But during golf season, I'd rather watch a golf 4 days of golf Thursday through Sunday than anything.
Now, I know people like that, and I have to ask, why? I mean, I love sports as much as anybody, obviously, but I'm not sitting there watching golf for 4 damn days. And I know people that will not miss a stroke.
Yeah, but it's just, that's why the world is made up the way that it is. That's exactly how I feel about baseball. Like,
I agree.
I can watch the World Series because it's that meaningful. I can watch the NBA finals or even the NBA playoffs because you get to see some unbelievable athletes that are playing, as hard as they can. But I can't. It's hard for me to watch the NBA in game number 45 of the season of 82 games because if their pinky finger hurts, then they don't play. And I'm not blaming them. That's their livelihood and their job. So that's what they're taught to do and supposed to do. But they need to take rest and do those things. But, I just don't get into – I want to see them play as hard as they can. And, when there's something on the line like the World Series or things like that, I will watch baseball at that point. But, baseball, growing up as a kid playing baseball, and I always played baseball, football, and basketball, and I loved all of them. But, baseball was a summertime sport, and it was just what you did when it wasn't basketball season. And I liked it. But now when I sit there and watch the World Series and it's in October and it's freezing cold outside and these guys are having to warm their hands up, it doesn't make any sense to me. They played 162 games in warm weather and then ended up playing the World Series in cold weather. It just sounds stupid to me. But I could solve all the world's problems if they just asked me. I've got a great opinion of everything.
Love it. Speaking of golf, the women's LPGA Senior Championship was just at French Lick. Did you make it out there?
I did not make it out there for that. I would love to. This is such a beautiful course, and that whole area out there is so incredible. As from a golfing perspective, if you've never been to that place down there, I would highly recommend it. It is one of the hidden gems in Indiana from a golf perspective. So I did not get to make it out there for that, but I know that's a great event, and they've had some other big events there in the past. So I think that thing will continue to host more and more things year in and year out.
Oh, it's one of the most beautiful courses I've ever seen. But did you see?
Incredible.
I can't remember who it was, the lady player, but there was a player. She's not a regular on the tour anymore. So, and there's been some some rule changes. She had to end up adding like 90 penalty strokes to her scorecard. 90. I'm not making that up. 90.
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
You can't have your caddy stand behind you when you line up your putt. You have to reset. And her caddy lined her up on the putts, and she never reset on virtually all the putts. So she had to add like 90 penalty strokes. Yes. Is that nuts? That's crazy.
That's a
man,
silly.
I feel like we could do this for 2 hours, man.
Yeah, I'm in. Let me know when you want to do that.
All right, brother, I'll let you go. I hope you have a great weekend. We appreciate you as always. Hope you have a great Friday and a hell of a weekend.
Hey, boss, I appreciate it. I always look forward to talking to you.
You bet. Todd Leary, the Toddfather, with us here on this Friday. We've got a lot more coming up. Should be getting to Tom Brew next from Sports Illustrated Indiana. Hope you're having a good day. From the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, back with more right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Ryan Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is James Blackman Jr., former Indiana Hoosier. Make sure you're keeping up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat.
Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Friday, October 18th, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Joining us now from Sports Illustrated Indiana, Tom Brew. Tom, how are you?
I'm doing great, Jim. Happy Friday to you, brother.
Happy Friday. It's a good one. Indiana getting the travel gear on as they head out to College Park, Maryland, to take on the Terrapins tomorrow in a 3:30 matchup. That'll be on BTN. You'll have to use the channel finder to find that. But a great opportunity for Indiana. They go out there, Tom, as a 6-point favorite. One of the rare times, if ever, that Indiana's a road favorite in the Big Ten that's over a team not named Rutgers.
It has been a long time, that's for sure. But there's obviously two things that play into that. This Indiana team is, has been looking pretty good. Granted against inferior competition, but they've been looking pretty good. And then against good competition against Michigan State, they played them tough. And then the flip side of that is Maryland just got trounced last week by a Purdue team that people were wondering if they would ever win another game. And Maryland got beat 40-14. So really exposed a lot of weaknesses with this Maryland team. So we'll see. There's certainly plenty of great opportunity here for Indiana to have a great Saturday, but you never know it till they do it. And that's, we've talked about that for years and years and years with Indiana football. Every time we think they're turning the corner, they have to go out and prove that they're ready to turn the corner. And that starts Saturday. To me, it's an absolute must-win game.
Oh, there's no doubt. For the last couple of seasons, the Maryland games was kind of a linchpin to the season. Of course, it was there were games like being at Purdue where they could have gotten bowl eligible. But before that, the Maryland game was one of those games that had they won, they put themselves on a much better trajectory. And this again is one of those cases where as long as they get this win, they stay on a very good trajectory. And I think that they handle this Maryland team easily because Maryland's going through some stuff, number one, and number two, Indiana is just a better team. They've gotten great, consistent offensive play here of late. That's something Maryland's not getting because they've had quarterback issues. Pigram is probably going to go for them, and he's a guy that's going to be running the ball a lot. So this is going to be an opportunity for this young offensive or defensive front for Indiana to see how much they've grown as well.
Exactly. This it's real critical, I think. This front seven, really needs to, they talk a lot about run fits and protecting your gaps and all this and that. And they need to be very disciplined against this Pigram kid because he can run. He had a 61-yard run for a touchdown last week against Purdue. And, he's very, very quick. And then McFarland, their starting running back's a little banged up. He's not sure he's going to be able to go or not, which is certainly a big plus, for Indiana. But certainly this will be a test. I mean, it's, what Maryland does have is a lot of speed in a lot of places, and if they get free and open spaces, they can cause some problems. So it's real important for Indiana to be disciplined on defense and and really tackle well, and especially early in the game. I think it's real important for them to get some 3 and outs and and start to put some doubt in this Maryland offense's mind.
And offensively, I asked Coach Allen about this earlier this week, but they've got to get closer, at least closer to having a more complete game offensively. Last week against Rutgers, we saw that big lull in the second quarter where they went away from what had been successful and just a stretch of like 6 drives that came up empty where mistakes were made, this, that, the other thing. But they've got to get closer where that offense has a lot less of that and a lot more of a complete performance.
Sure. They had 2 turnovers that were mixed in there too, which I didn't like. But it's to me, you have to look at the big picture offensively, and they scored touchdowns on 5 drives, and they kind of put their foot off the gas in the fourth quarter when they were way ahead. So this offense, I think, is ready for an explosion this weekend because Maryland. Their secondary is not very good. I mean, Jack Plummer, who's a redshirt freshman playing his 3rd game ever, last week against them, threw for 420 yards. And, I could see Indiana doing the same thing this weekend. And because what's surprising is even though they're not very good, they still play a ton of man-to-man. They still play a ton of, cover 0 with no safeties back there. And we've talked, since August about, one of the joys of having Michael Penix Jr. quarterback is he can throw a long ball and a deep ball, and I really do see them, breaking a couple big, huge ones, against this Maryland defense that likes to be overly aggressive. I could see, Whop Phillier getting down the field. I can see Nick Westbrook getting down the field. I mean, that's, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if Michael Penix throws for 400 yards himself on Saturday.
I agree, and that's the one thing we really haven't seen from this offense. Other than the very first game of the year, that 75-yard touchdown to Nick Westbrook, we haven't really seen these big plays that we know they're very more than capable of doing, which is fine because the season has not gotten to that apex just yet. But I'd sure like to see them be able to hit on some of those.
Well, I think it's going to happen. I mean, they've been really close, and even last week they had guys open and. Michael underthrew Whop one time and, had him down the field the other way and had to step around a guy real quick before he threw and wasn't accurate. But it's, there are many, many times where they've just been, one stride away, from hitting the big ones because this receiving core is dangerous. They can get open and they can get open deep and, he can get them the ball. And, I'm kind of curious too, just to see how this offensive line holds up. It's, obviously Coy Cronk is already out. Hunter Littlejohn, fingers crossed with him as to when he comes back. But these guys have done a really nice job. The backups of stepping in, and I think this is going to be a good test on the road. To see continued improvement out of that offensive line, so that helps with those deep balls, but also I think helps in getting this running game going because it has been better lately and. against a little bit better quality defense, I'd like to see that running game continue to get to make some noise.
Absolutely. Earlier in the week, Tom had a really nice piece on Whop Phillier. Talk about that, Tom.
Yeah, I was happy to, Jim. It's he's just an amazing kid, and he's obviously very talented. He's 24 receptions for 324 yards just in the last 2 weeks alone, top 10 in the country in a lot of categories. And I went back and kind of traced Wap's life through his whole life, and got a chance to talk to his mom quite a bit, his high school coach, and just what it was like for him growing up in Tampa, where he had to kind of bounce around between homes. He lived with his mom for a while, and she had to take care of some family stuff out of state, and lived with his grandmother for a while. And then he had all sorts of residency issues when he was in high school, and had to kind of bounce back and forth between grandma and dad. He said, he had kind of a difficult, I would never say it was a rough childhood, but it was difficult because it was ever changing for him. And he survived it all. And, he's just got, he's got that personality that lights up a room, and just, had a lot of chances to talk to a lot of people just about how great he is. And, not only going back, but, Tom Allen and Grant Hurd and William Inge, his coaches at Indiana and fellow players, everybody just loves the energy that he brings to the table. And, William Inge said it best. He said he brings so much energy to every practice and every game that everybody's either trying to match him or outmatch him, and it just he just brings that. And it was a nice 2,000 word takeout profile piece on him, and I was very proud of it. And it's done very, very well online at si.com, and is really, really pleased with how it turned out.
Yeah, people they don't understand the lives of a lot of these kids. And Ashawn Riggins is one of the guys that recently left Indiana's football team. And when Matt Weaver was on with me, he talked about the life that Ashawn had grown up with and dealt with. And it's sad that they have to deal with all this stuff, but you don't know what's going on in their lives. And to see someone like Whop, who we now know has gone through so much, but to be such a positive, gosh, you can't be around that dude and not just laugh and have fun. And then on the football field, he's a terror to these defenses, man. But what a great kid.
Sure, absolutely. And, it was just funny when I was talking to his mom, she was just fighting back tears talking about him the whole time, because he's just so darn proud of what he's doing right now. And, and she said it best too. It's like, when she was a single mom raising him, had two younger daughters, and growing up in, less than beautiful neighborhoods in Tampa, where, there's just a lot of gang issues and drug issues, where it's easy for boys to stray the wrong path. And, she never let Whop do that, and Whop never did that. And, he found his way, and thankfully, he had a great senior year in high school at Plant High School in Tampa. And, that's where Tom Allen and his son Thomas played there. And we've got 4 kids from Plant High School on this team right now. And it's been quite the pipeline. So it was, Indiana was always a good option for him. And, and Whop is to this day thrilled that that's the decision his mother made for him.
Indiana's at Maryland tomorrow at 3:30 on the BTN. What do you think the actual how this game ends up? I've already gone on record. I think Indiana wins this game big. I made a friendly bet with a buddy last night. I gave him 13 points. That's how confident I am that Indiana.
Well, then you're a confident guy. It's I am hesitant to think it will be that big, only because we still have never seen this Indiana team go on the road in a game that really matters in the Big Ten and do that. It's like I picked them to upset Michigan State on the road a few weeks back, and it didn't happen. And it's like, I am confident they will win. I just don't know by how much, and I don't know, if like last week Indiana had 2 turnovers on offense and it didn't hurt them one bit. If they have 2 turnovers this Saturday, it might. And it's like. It's sort of like, they're playing Maryland, not Missouri, but I'm still in the show me state. It's like I want Indiana to go on the road and do what you're expecting them to do. I'd like to see them win 40-14 on the road. But will it happen? I don't know. If I had, I'm not, me, I don't gamble on sports, but if the line is 6, I would take Indiana and think they would win by more than that. But I don't know. I say this is still a team that has to prove to us that they can win games on the road. And, and it's, I'm a big believer that they've got a golden opportunity in front of them right here with this Maryland team, and then Nebraska next week, and then home against Northwestern, where they really, really, really should be 7-2 when we wake up on November 3rd. But we just gotta, they just have to go out and prove it. But I'm on my way there today, and I'm feeling good about it, and I'm really looking forward to them playing a good game on Saturday. And it's I think you're right, that they'll win by at least that much, but we're gonna just have to wait and see.
Text into the show from Tim says, still waiting for David Ellis to run a kickoff back for a TD. Does that happen at Maryland? That's a good question. We've been waiting for that breakout to happen.
Well, we could. He's been close a few times, and quite frankly, we also have to worry about that in reverse. Maryland is one of only 7 teams in the country that has both a kickoff return for a touchdown and a punt return for a touchdown this year. So their special teams are pretty darn good, but David Ellis has been close a few times. He's been that one tackle away, and that we can see that. And I'm glad to see he's been involved in the offense more too. He's an exciting kid and just another one of those freshmen, that's going to have a great future at Indiana.
So you are going to Maryland?
Yes, I am. I'm on my way as we speak. So.
I did not know that. Amazing. I will not be there this weekend, but I will be in Nebraska next week. Quick question here, and this is just for fun. If Indiana goes to Maryland, handles business, puts down a hammer, wins nice, very comfortably on the road, Nebraska, even if they barely win, struggle a little bit, is there any possibility that Indiana will go to Lincoln as a favorite?
I would say no, only because of
obvious reasons.
Lincoln at Lincoln, Nebraska at Lincoln. But we talked last week. When I talked to my Vegas insider about what the stuff that was going on, and he thought at the time that all 3 of these games would be pick'em games, and that was before Maryland lost so big and Indiana looked so good. So that one changed a lot. He told me 2 weeks ago that he thought that Nebraska would probably be favored against Indiana, but by 3 or less. And of course Nebraska got killed last week too at Minnesota. So if that same logic applies, it's very possible that Indiana could be favored on that game. But betting lines are betting lines. To me, they just don't matter.
It's just for fun. Like I said, it's just for fun conversation.
Yeah, it absolutely. But it's just so it's like I think, I think a lot of it just sort of depends. On this weekend, I think if Indiana, like if Indiana pulls a Jim Coyle game and they go out there and they win by 20, like you're kind of figuring they will, then maybe so. And Nebraska's off this week, so it's could be. But if anything, I would think no more than a field goal in either direction is kind of where it's going to be. And and I've never been to Lincoln, Nebraska for a football game, so I'm really looking forward to next week as well. So.
Me as well. I forgot they were on a bye. I think that'll keep them a 3-point favorite. I forgot that they had that time off, so it's hard to it's hard to make a team too much of an underdog when they've had 2 weeks off and they're at home.
All right. Yeah, but we'll see. I mean, just like, if you're asking me right now to take my last $20 and bet it on somebody next week, I'm taking Indiana. I really am. Because I've been saying that all along, that's a game that, when I talked at the beginning of the year that Indiana was going to win 8 games, that included winning at Nebraska, so it's one of those things that I expect them to do. And, but like I said, that's a conversation for next week. The first thing they got to do is get through Maryland and make sure that they're 5-2 on their way to Lincoln.
Absolutely, Tom. Safe travels. We'll see you when you return, and have a good one, man.
Great, Jim. Thank you. Happy Friday, and have everybody check out the site at si.com/College Indiana, and we're there for you.
There we go. Tom Brew from Sports Illustrated Indiana. Got lots more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Back with all that and more right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs, Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Hey, this is Jordan Halls, former Indiana Hoosier. Keep up with Indiana sports on Indiana Sports Beat.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Friday, October 18th. What a great show we've already had. The Toddfather, Todd Leary, was with us. Tom Brew from Sports Illustrated Indiana. We just got off of there. So much to talk about. Indiana football gets a commitment from three-star tight end Sam Dostrup from Ohio. That dude saw what's going on with that Kalen DeBoer offense, said, I want me some of that. Those tight ends get the ball, man. They are involved in the offense. But everybody is involved in Kalen DeBoer's offense. The only people that don't catch passes are playing guard or tackle, center. Everybody else, better be looking, man. Pass could be coming your way. Juwan Morgan been picked, was with the Utah Jazz. He's still with the Utah Jazz, but he was waived off of that roster. But fear not, he's expected to continue playing for them in a two-way deal. Oh man, where did I just had that and lost? There we go. He's expected to play for their G League affiliate, the Salt Lake City Stars. The 22-year-old appeared in 2 preseason games for Utah. He finished with 14 points, 8 boards, 2 assists, a steal, and a block across 23 minutes. That's not a bad stat line. But we wish him the best. Other basketball news: Hassan Diarra's decision comes today. Looks like Texas A&M is probably the leader for that. For his services. Then Devin Askew made his decision. He's going to Kentucky. He picked the Wildcats over Louisville, Arizona, and Memphis. I mention that only because we've talked about a lot Devin Askew where he's going, especially if he were to end up at Louisville, that would have relieved them probably in the race for the services of Christian Lander, Indiana's top target for next season. Louisville's still in play now. I think that Louisville and Indiana are going to come down to be the final two decision for Christian Lander out of Evansville Rights to make of where he ends up. But without doubt, that is Indiana's top target. Before I forget, I know we had where'd that text go? Yeah. Tim asked, does IU football break the top 10 if they win a couple more games? Oh, hell yeah, happens. No, top 25. If they win big this week, I would not be shocked to see Indiana in the top 25 if they win big. But I will tell you this for a fact. They win this week and next week, and they're at 6-2 on the season, they're in the top 25. I'll put money on that right now. Guaranteed. I'll guarantee you. That happens. Outside shot if they win big this week, because that puts them at 5-2, back-to-back Big Ten wins. But not just that. The loss to Michigan State was impressive on the road in front of 70,000 people. The offense has been doing fine. We'll see. I'm going to have to look up the last time Indiana was ranked. It's been a minute. That has been a minute.
I'll take a guess and say 1993.
In 1993. Yeah, no. But, I asked Tom about, these betting lines. It's just fun talk. But with Indiana being a 6-point favorite this week, to me, that's Las Vegas saying that's a wait and see thing, Vegas. They want to make Indiana a favorite. I mean, they are, but I mean a favorite. 6 points. I guess, that's almost a touchdown on the road. That's pretty good. But I forgot Nebraska's on a bye. I don't know even if Indiana wins that they will go into Lincoln as a favorite, because with the Cornhuskers having 2 weeks off to prepare, get healed up, yeah, they're not going to be an underdog at home with a 2-week layoff. But regardless, I still think Indiana goes and wins that game as long as everyone's healthy. We'll talk about that. Oh, man, will we talk about that next week. We'll be all over that next week. I will be going to Nebraska. Took the weekend off traveling this week, not going to Maryland. Surprised Tom was going to Maryland. You heard him say it was a change in plans. But very nice. We heard from Mike Roberts earlier and John Calipari. May have to play that Calipari piece again for the folks that are just getting with us. But Patrick Mahomes out for 3 weeks with a dislocated knee after a 30-6 win over Denver last night. He hurt himself on a 4th down quarterback sneak. And there were some people giving grief to Andy Reid, the coach. And I'm like, give me a break. When is the last time you saw somebody get hurt on a quarterback sneak? I don't think I've ever seen it in my life. I've never seen a quarterback get hurt on a quarterback sneak. I've been watching football my entire life. Indiana women's soccer was in a 0-0 tie at Maryland last night. But they get the shutout. They're 8th of the season. It's their 5th in Big Ten play this year. That ties a school record. The women's soccer team now 7-6-2 on the season, 3-3-2 in Big Ten play. They continue action on Sunday as they travel to Piscataway, New Jersey, taking on number 22 Rutgers. IU men's soccer is at Maryland tonight. It's Terrapins week, folks. That game's at 6:30. I doubt that is on the BTN, but it could possibly be. Maybe it is. I don't know. Jake, you have to look that up for me. Indiana football travels to Maryland tomorrow for a 3:30 tilt. They are a 6-point favorite at College Park. The series stands 5-2 in Indiana's favor. They are 2-1 in College Park, Maryland. That loss coming 2 years ago in a game that Indiana was in a similar situation to this, but these are two different teams. Different Maryland team, different Indiana team, different. So there's so much difference. So different in that. The World Series is closer to being set. The Nationals, of course, are waiting the outcome of the Astros-Yankees series, which was delayed the night before last because of rain. Last night they got a game in. Houston got one game closer to playing in yet another World Series as they beat the Yankees. They lead that series 3-1 right now. Do they play again tonight? I'm about to get my sports page back open. Too many pages to keep open, man. Too much stuff to look at. The Ohio State game got moved because of the World Series rain out last night. The Ohio State plays tonight. Forgot about that. Yeah, we didn't talk about that, did we? What time is that game? Where is that? Why is that not listed right there? It makes me mad. Those are last week's, dummy. Nope, that's next week. I don't know why they don't have that on there. 8:30. That's on Fox Sports 1, I believe, correct?
Yeah, that's what Kevin Brockway said yesterday, but on here it says BTN. So check both of those at 8:30.
Very confusing. Yeah, very confusing. Because my stupid schedule here. Who is Ohio State playing? Northwestern? Okay, that is correct. They are all right, Northwestern was picked to win the West early in the season. That's changed, of course, now. But before the season, Northwestern was thought to be a team that could win the West. They currently stand at 1-4, and they're a 27-point underdog to Ohio State. That's the same that Indiana was at home. But that was weeks ago. Indiana, obviously, a better team now. That was without Michael Penix. That bodes well when Northwestern comes to visit Indiana 2 weeks from now. I'm telling you, Indiana can win 4 straight games. I should have done some pick'ems today. I'll take Ohio State in that. It's a lot of points to cover at Northwestern because they like to play. But also big games this weekend, Wisconsin at Illinois. Not a big game, I wouldn't say. How about Purdue at Iowa? Okay, there's one. Was it 2 years ago Purdue goes to Iowa? Or was it last year? I think it was last year. The week after Iowa had pummeled Ohio State, Purdue went to Iowa and beat Iowa. I'd say that was 2. Iowa's a 17.5-point favorite over a team that just put 40 points on the board, that just had the offensive player of the week. What does that tell you? Curious. Florida travels to South Carolina the week after South Carolina knocks off Georgia Bulldogs. Number 11, Auburn, traveling to an Arkansas team that is just not good. The fact that they're only 19.5-point favorite, a little disappointing. Here's a big game for you. Clemson traveling to Louisville. Clemson's a 24-point favorite, but we talked to Aaron Matus, our friend, earlier in the week. He'll be down at that game. Clemson's, man, they're not in my top 4. I can tell you that right now. I'm not saying that they're not good. Louisville's been very improved. How about Louisville? 4-2 on the season right now. This is a team that couldn't buy a win last year. They gave up 50 points 5 straight games. Nuts. But Clemson's not in my top four. I'll tell you who my top four is. I don't know who my number one. LSU, I guess, is number one. But I got LSU, I got Ohio State, I got Wisconsin, and I got Oklahoma. And actually, I like Oklahoma number 3, Wisconsin 4. But I've got 4. What's that? Say it again.
You don't have Alabama in your top 10?
No.
Top 4?
Not my top. No, they're not in my top. Who have they beaten? They've beaten nobody. Just because their name's Alabama, I don't give a crap. Just because their name's Clemson, I don't care. Clemson should have lost to North Carolina. One play from losing that game. North Carolina was not able to convert the 2-point conversion. They went for 2 for the win because Mike Brown's got a set of onions on him. That would have been just ginormous. Yeah. How about Rutgers? Minnesota travels to Rutgers. I don't know if I've ever seen a team that's had an easier schedule layout than Minnesota. They're 6-0 and they haven't played a team yet. They're going to go to 7-0 very easy. They're a 28-point favorite on the road. They will go to 7-0. They're not a 7-0 team. They're a good team. I think they're a lot like Indiana, to be honest with you. But Minnesota hasn't played Ohio State. They haven't played Michigan State. They haven't played the schedule. Now, their life's going to get a little rougher. They're going to end up losing 3 games on the season, I would bet. Probably just 2 in the regular season. Number 2, LSU travels to Mississippi State, where they are a 17.5-point favorite. How about SMU back in the rankings? Because they're 6-0. Now, see, they haven't played anybody either. I don't think they're as good as Indiana, but Indiana's have to play in the Big Ten. Baylor's 6-0. They're ranked 18th. Missouri, number 22. Give me a break. They're 5-1. Kentucky travels to Georgia. You think Georgia's going to be pissed off after getting beat by South Carolina last week? They're at home between the hedges. They're a 25.5-point favorite against the Wildcats. They want to beat them like a drum because they want to get back into that national playoff discussion.
UK's starting a wide receiver at quarterback, so.
That guy used to be a quarterback in high school. I think he completed like 7 to 10 passes last week.
He had more passing yards than Rutgers.
Yeah, well, that doesn't take much.
Takes 2 yards.
I think you or I could have had more than Rutgers did. Michigan. Oh, here's your game. The Michigan Wolverines, ranked 16th currently at 5-1. They travel to Happy Valley, taking on the Nittany Lions. Penn State stands at 6-0, and they are a 9-point favorite over the Wolverines. That's a 7:30 contest. Looking forward to that one. Tennessee travels to Alabama. No line listed on that game. Wonder why that is. Very curious. Off this week with a bye is Colorado State, UMass, New Mexico State, Notre Dame, Texas State, and in the Big Ten, Michigan State and Nebraska, both off this week and both standing at 4-3. Yeah, Nebraska getting the bye the week before the Indiana game. That stinks. Those byes are just helpful, man. You get 2 weeks of solid practice. You get healed up. All kinds of stuff. Should we break or go into are we still in the first segment? Oh, then we need to break then, huh? We got to take a break. We got a lot more coming up. When we come back, we've got a reboot from Reporter's segment. you missed that, we'll get to that. Stay tuned. We got lots more coming up here on from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Indiana Sports Beat Radio back with more right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
You're on the line with Jamal Meeks, former Indiana Hoosier, number 23, 1992. And I'm on the beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Thursday, October 17. Of course, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. And now get ready for the Indiana Sports Beat Reporters segment, joined by our good friend Kevin Brockway from CNHI Papers. Kevin, thank you, sir.
Good morning.
How are you doing, man?
Yeah, hanging in there.
Pat Donahue from the Terrapin Sports Report, Rivals. Pat, how are you, brother? Thank you for joining us.
Hey, no problem. How are you?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. We appreciate you. And Stephen K., you get to say your last name, brother, because I'm not doing it the first time on air.
How's it going, Jim? I'm Stefan Kreischick in Nisar. How you doing, man?
Pretty good, brother. How you been?
Good, good.
Kreischick. Is that right?
Close enough, I guess.
No, not close enough. Say it one more time.
Kreischick.
Kreischick.
There it is. You'll get there. You'll get there.
That sounds Russian.
Serbian, close enough.
That's right. That's right. Close enough. Close enough. But hey, Indiana taking on the Maryland Terrapins this week, and Maryland. And I'll start with Pat because he's with the Maryland Terrapin Sports Report. Maryland's been a team that's been kind of an enigma. When they first started the season, I was like, man, they got my attention because I'm like, wow. I know Indiana is one of those teams that's trying to break out of that bottom of the Big Ten East and get into that next upper echelon. And I was telling people, I'm like, man, you better watch out for Maryland. Look like they're trying to do the same thing here. They were beating people left and right. Then all of a sudden the thing kind of went off the tracks a little bit and just got a little worse, I saw, with DJ Turner getting a DUI. But, Pat, the season has taken a quick turn for Maryland.
Yeah, it definitely has. And, I mean, you said it. The hot start got everyone a little excited about the start of the Mike Locksley era and some of the talent they had on both sides of the ball. But I think we were quickly reminded once the dust settled a little bit that this is, a rebuilding team. And Coach Locksley even said it after practice yesterday that this is, very much a process and a rebuilding process. And this is just year one and step one of the process. So he needs to keep reminding, his team of that. And we kind of have, as media and fan base, have had to remind themselves that, this team does still have a lot of building to do. And Coach Locksley and his staff haven't had a chance to, get multiple recruiting classes in there and really coach these guys up. So, we're hoping that in the future it looks more like it did in the beginning of this season. But right now, it certainly seems like those first 2 weeks were a far cry away.
Kevin, the first thing that I think Indiana's going to have to look at is who's going to start at quarterback for Maryland is who they have to prepare for. We've seen a couple different guys, Josh Jackson and Tyrell. How you say Pigram? How you say his last name, Pat? Tyrell.
Pigram. Yeah, Tyrell Pigram.
Yeah, that's the guy that he looks pretty elusive. Kevin, is that a quarterback that you think Indiana could have some trouble with because of their young defense?
I think Ty Pigram is kind of interesting because you saw that kind of nifty option run he had in the Purdue game. He adds that kind of speed element, dual option, dual threat element. So does obviously Josh Jackson, and Mike Locksley runs an RPO offense. So I think Indiana's defense is going to have to play very disciplined in this game. They're going to have to account, when they rush the passer, they're going to have to be obviously really disciplined in their, rush lanes to make sure that the quarterbacks, don't break big games. I think that's going to be an important part of the game plan. I think also special teams, too, with Javon Leake and his ability to return kicks. Indiana's, kick return team, coverage team is going to have to be really on point in this game.
And Stephen, that's an issue that where Indiana's had some troubles this year. Special teams has been an area that in recent years was a real plus for Indiana. They've made some mistakes, and it's not just been one game in the special teams area. Had punt blocked, and then the shanking a punt, and then catching punts at the 5, and just not doing things really smart, intelligently. That's a part of their game that Indiana has to correct, and I think they need to do it now because this is one of those games where it can come back to haunt you.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to put it. I mean, we've seen in years past, there's games like these that Indiana has either struggled to win or not been able to break through, to pull out a win, and that's what ends up costing them a bowl game or something like that. I mean, and in games like these where the fact of the matter is you're going into this game expecting a close game, regardless of Maryland's struggles now. You're going in expecting a close game on the road in the Big Ten. And oftentimes in those close games, it's special teams that make a difference. Now, whether that be a punt return, a kick return for a touchdown, or like you mentioned, like we've seen before from Indiana, it's a kickoff going out of bounds, a punt being blocked. So going into this game, you got to expect all three facets of your team have to perform, whether that be offense, defense, or special teams. And in an area where they've struggled in the past with those special teams, I think they have to go into that looking to be exceptionally clean in that. And then, if you can do that, then, you can trust that Michael Penix and his offense will do their job. And the defense, which has been shaky at times, you hope they do their job. So everyone's got to hold down their own. I mean, it's no different on special teams than it is on offense or defense in terms of holding it down and giving your team an opportunity. But especially in a game like this where you feel like it almost feels like a must-win if you want to be bowl eligible soon enough. This feels like a must-win game. Your special teams has to be clean.
Pat, we talked about, we don't know, Indiana doesn't know who's going to start at quarterback for the Terrapins, and that's a good thing to have, I guess, because they've got a couple of different quarterbacks. But which quarterback do you expect to start? Which one do you think is actually – because I know that Jackson started the season off and he was playing well, and then things kind of went awry, and then Pigram came in. But who do you expect to start and why?
Yeah, you said it, Jackson. He started the season as the starting quarterback and had his ups and downs, and it sounded like Coach Loxley was going to roll with him for a while longer either way, but he did suffer a high ankle sprain against Rutgers, so he didn't finish that game, missed the Purdue game, and then Tyrell Pigram has been stepping in for him, and I fully expect Pigram to be the starter this week. Of the practices the media has gotten to see this week, he's been working with the first team, with Tyler DeSue serving as the backup and working with the second team. But Jackson did return to practice this week, has a brace on his ankle, and seems to be ramping it up a bit. So whether or not he's available on Saturday, we'll see, but it does seem like Jackson might be starting to work his way back. And obviously Pigram is struggling himself a little bit to operate the offense and to protect the ball. So if he continues to struggle there, I wouldn't be surprised to see Loxley eventually go back to Jackson, or even get to see, what they have in a sophomore in Tyler DeSue, who was actually the MVP of the spring game and showed some promise throughout spring and fall camp.
Kevin, from an Indiana perspective, this seems to be playing into their hands to an advantage. But also from an Indiana perspective, this is a game Indiana just needs to go take care of business. They need to just go win that game and keep things, what they're doing, on track and keep moving forward as they try to get towards bowl eligibility. But this Maryland game is a game that Indiana just has to win, period.
Yeah, I think they have to take a mature approach to on the road. You never know with a young team, particularly with a young defense. We certainly saw in the Michigan State game they had some letdowns. I think it's, you have to go in with that mindset, a really mature mindset. Nick Westbrook talked about that during the media availability on Monday, just coming in, not taking anything for granted, not taking a team lightly. Certainly a program like Indiana can't afford to do that. You just have to go in and, really treat it like a business trip, and be on point, and I think Tom Allen will do that. I think Tom Allen senses with this team, even though they're young, that they have a certain maturity about them to be able to handle things. Rutgers and I think UConn, those two games, I think bear that out, 35-0, 38-3. Other than that little lull by in the second quarter offensively against Rutgers, I think that Indiana executed fairly well on both sides of the ball in both those games.
Yes, Steven. Indiana has not done well from a passing defense standpoint against the better teams, against Ohio State, I think I just read a stat that, while they shut down Eastern Illinois, UConn, and Rutgers, basically giving up no yards and no points, they were obliterated by Ohio State and Michigan State and were kind of torched in that area. That's an area where they have to pick up, obviously. I don't think they're going to get stretched too much this week, especially if Pigram is the quarterback, because he seems to be struggling in the passing area of that. But that's something that Indiana has to shore up quickly as they move forward.
Yeah, even just looking outside of this game, if Indiana's going to have a shot at bowl eligibility, you can't have what you saw Ohio State and Michigan State do to that secondary. Maybe Maryland doesn't have a quarterback threat like what Ohio State and Michigan State offered, but at the same time, you got to shore up that secondary, and this week is a great opportunity to do that. Maryland's maybe not an opponent you can compare to Michigan State, Ohio State, but they're also better than Rutgers and UConn, teams that IU has shut down in the past. So I think, given Tywone Mullen and Reese Taylor, we saw this past week, they moved up in the depth chart. They're the starters now. I think that's Tom Allen realizing that, despite those guys being young, they have gotten some quality experience so far. Tywone Mullen in that Michigan State game proved to be maybe one of the best quarterbacks in the Big Ten, if not the nation. He played outstanding in that game. This is a great opportunity for Indiana to really shore up that defense moving forward, even after the Maryland game. And like you said, Jim, the secondary has been what's cost them, those Ohio State, those Michigan State games. If they want a shot at being bowl eligible or being one of the competitive teams in the Big Ten, they're going to need to shore that up. It starts this week.
Pat, from a Maryland perspective, how are they viewing this Indiana team? And again, Indiana's one of those teams, they're trying to, like Maryland, trying to break out of that bottom of the Big Ten East and up into that. Try to break. Indiana as a team that they're heading in that direction. But what's the viewpoint from the Maryland side of this Indiana program right now?
Oh yeah, I think Maryland's not in a position to take any team lightly at this point in their season. They need a win. They need to get back on track. So I certainly don't think they'd be looking past anyone. But from everything I've seen in this Indiana team, and I'm sure they've seen the same thing, this isn't a team that you would want to look past anyway. They're very balanced on the offensive side of the ball. Penix is playing as well as any quarterback in the Big Ten. I think he's someone who has fans' attention and obviously the coaches and players' attention. And then also, on defense, I know, it was against Rutgers, but that defensive front seven was very disruptive against Rutgers. So I think given Maryland's issues on offensive line, or injuries, I guess I should really say, on the offensive line, I think there's some concern there that could be an area that the Hoosiers could take advantage. So I certainly think that everyone's looking at this game is going to be a very tough game. I think they're happy to have it in College Park. It's family weekend, so they're hoping to have a decent crowd there. And I think that they're looking at this as kind of a game where, many aren't expecting them to win, but a game that is still winnable and a game that could put them back on track if they were to win it.
Kevin, Indiana's passing attack is just slowly getting better and better. Michael Penix has only started 4 games. I think people forget that. He has started 4 games in his college career, but he's very poised. He seems like he is not a freshman. He's beyond his years, and as this week is another week where that passing game can continue to grow. One of the things they need to do is get Nick Westbrook involved. We've seen some things written, and Nick Westbrook, a 5th-year senior, he's come back from injury, but one of the more prominent receivers on that end, but has not had a big role this season, and that breakout game seems to be coming for him.
Yeah, I think what's happening, Jim, is he's getting a lot of attention, and I think Donovan Hale's getting a lot of attention on the other side, and that's opening things up for Whop Phillier. And, Whop's even talked about that, recently in some interviews. So I think what Michael Penix is doing is just going to the open guy. Now, you would think the next couple of weeks teams would start to take Whop away, and I think when they do that, I think you're going to see, a little more opportunities for Nick and for Donovan on both sides. You're talking about 2 big 5th-year seniors. But, with them, they're, both big targets. I think speed is a little bit of an issue, too, in terms of getting open against Big Ten cornerbacks. But I think both guys, when you look at them, they put up numbers in so you have to kind of trust the track record there. And I think, again, as you see the defenses start to give Phillier more attention, I think you're going to see Westbrook, get the ball a little more.
Stephen, 2 years ago, we saw Indiana go out to College Park to Maryland in a game that Indiana was expected to win. I thought they were going to win, but they came back with a loss. Now, those are 2 different teams in a different situation, but it's a similar situation for Indiana. They cannot come back with a loss if they want to be the team and the program that they're trying to become. These are games you simply can't lose, that you have to win no matter what.
Yeah, and I mean, it's funny you mentioned that game because, a couple of years ago, it felt like when Indiana ended up that season not going to a bowl game, it felt like that Maryland game was the one where you look back and you say, that's a game we should have won, that's a game that might have cost us bowl eligibility. And you don't want to put yourself in that situation again this year. And Tom Allen's been through that. He's seen that. And everyone always thinks of the past couple of years is that Purdue game at the end you can't pull through. I mean, there's games throughout the season. You can't just look at the final game and not being unable to beat Purdue. It's games like that against Maryland. And we saw last year, on the road at Rutgers, Indiana came out with a win, but it was a very ugly win in a game where you question how good Indiana even was. So, these games on the East Coast, you're traveling out there, Indiana just needs to come out prepared and needs to come out with energy from the first snap. I mean, that's what it's going to take in this game. You can't like we've said about teams like Maryland not looking past Indiana. Indiana can't look past Maryland. Indiana can't really look past anyone at this point until you prove yourself as one of the better teams in the Big Ten. So it's games like these on the road against a lesser opponent where you need to pull it through. You need to be able to win if you want to be bowl eligible, if you want to be taken seriously in the Big Ten.
Pat, I'm obviously not keeping up too much with Maryland. Have they faced any teams that's predominantly pass-oriented, and how have they done against that? Because Indiana's offense is predicated off the pass, whether they're deep pass, short pass. They've been pretty successful this year with Michael Penix, and you've heard mentioned Wap Fillier and some of these other receivers, Nick Westbrook, Donovan Hale. They've got a stable of those guys. But how has Maryland been against the pass this season?
Yeah, I don't even think it's as much about playing against pass-oriented teams as it is if you're a team game planning from Maryland and you're watching the film, you're very quickly going to realize that passing is the way to go. That's where teams have had the most success against this defense so far this year. And again, that mostly has to do with injuries to the secondary. The Terps are now down a starting safety and 2 starting corners. Hoping to get one of those starting corners back this week, but it's going to be kind of a game time decision sort of thing with Marcus Lewis. So really the secondary's hurting right now. A lot of young guys back there playing, and they got torched against Purdue. Purdue's a team that doesn't run the ball that much to begin with anyway, so I guess you could say that's a pass-happy team they went against, and it worked heavily in Purdue's favor. They had a redshirt freshman quarterback come in and look like Joe Montana against our defense there. So it really it's a combination of playing some pass-happy teams, but also just the fact that Maryland's trying to pull it together on the back end of the defense there.
Pat Donahue's with the Terrapin Sports Report. We've also got Kevin Brockway from CNHI Papers. And Stefan, say it again.
Stefan Kreisnick.
Kreisnick. You know what? Kreisnick. I'm writing it down and how it's spelled, how it says. So, but Stephen Kreisnick with Indy Stars is going to be back with us right after this break. We'll be back with more Indiana Sports Beat reporters from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios on Indiana Sports Report right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Hey, this is Jordan Halls, former Indiana Hoosier. Keep up with Indiana sports on Indiana Sports Beat.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios in Bloomington here on this Friday, October 18th. Hope your week has been spectacular. Hope we helped it along and you are ready for the weekend because I can't help you with that if you're not. We've teed it up for you. What a great program we had today. The Toddfather, Todd Leary, was with us, of course, as always. Tom Brew from Sports Illustrated Indiana. We talked a lot about Indiana football. Indiana got a new commitment. Sam Dostrip, tight end from Ohio. John Calipari was speaking on Archie Miller in the Indiana series. We heard from those guys. Juwan Morgan, waived by the Jazz. He'll be playing for their G League team. Hassan Diarra, decision coming today. Texas A&M expected to get the nod. Devin Askew, he took his services to UK over U of L, Arizona, and Memphis. That leaves U of L in the picture for Christian Lander. The World Series closer to being set as the Astros and the Yankees. 3-1 series lead for Houston. Mahomes out 3 weeks after a knee injury last night in a 30-6 win over Denver. Indiana women's soccer went to a 0-0 tie against Maryland yesterday. Their eighth shutout of the season, fifth in the Big Ten. That ties a school record Sunday. They're in Piscataway, New Jersey, to take on number 22 Rutgers. The men's soccer team is in Maryland tonight at 6:30. The football team is in Maryland tomorrow at 3:30. That's a lot. That was an action-packed show, man. Whew! Looking forward to catching the breath. Next week is Nebraska week. I am already fired up. I'm just sitting here writing down some of the people that I'd like to try to get on. Next week, we will be talking to former IU great defensive person, Rashard Fant. He'll be joining us next Friday. I'm going to try to see if I can get Jerry DiNardo on, former IU coach with BTN now. I'd love to get Dave Wanstadt. You know, his daughters either go or did go to IU. Mitchell Page, and you get Mitchell on. I'm trying to get Scott Frost, the Nebraska coach. We'll try everything. We're going to throw the sink at it next week, baby. You think you have no idea how big that football game for Tom Allen will be. It will be the biggest game in his career next week. That will be so big for this Indiana football program. Now, of course, that's predicated on coming out of College Park, Maryland with a win, which I fully expect, because if they don't, I don't want to talk about this football team. You got to get to business. You got to get it done. You got to get it done. I think they will, and I'm going to be so excited talking about that next week. Looking forward to it. Final text into the show from Tim. What's with Michigan football? 5 players have entered the transfer portal. Another yesterday. Would I reach out to any of these guys? You can't reach out to them. They can reach out to you. Michigan's got a lot of players, man. Lots of talent. You got this. They've got so much more talent than most teams, like Indiana, that you've got guys that, hey, I'm playing. I'm gone. I'm out of here. Now, it's harder to get guys from within the conference through transfers. I can tell you that. They don't like to play against the guys that they recruited. But, man, we heard from Mike Roberts today as he sat down with the voice, Don Fisher. So much to cover, man. It was a busy, busy day. We hope you enjoyed it. We did. We look forward to doing it all again next week. We'll be back on Monday with Don Fisher and Mike Schumann. We're ready to go. We'll be hopefully talking about a big Indiana win over Maryland as Lee gets set to take care of that tomorrow. That's going to wrap it up for us here today, man. We're coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios in Bloomington, as always. For Jake, I am Jim Coyle, and I will see you on the radio.